Howdy folks, I'm here at the Smart Cities Expo in Curitiba. Quite a big event, it's amazing, check it out. So what I'll do is I'll just talk to you and tell you about Curitiba while we walk through this actually really big event. But just before we get there, so this Smart Cities event is a annual event where they just look at innovations specifically around smart cities, because Curitiba is the smartest city in Brazil. It's also won the Global Smart Cities Award, I think last year or the year before. So very recently it's won the award, and it's won it before as well. In any case, so this is the Smart Cities event. There was like 14,000 people that they expected over the 3 days, and I must say it was quite impressive. I mean, you look at these stands, there's some really interesting things going on, and these guys, I mean, it's not a small event. Look at this stand. This is well done, well built, amazing. Anyway, so let's talk about Curitiba, my stay in Curitiba. Now, I really actually enjoyed Curitiba. Having said that, as much as I could, because like most of the rest of Brazil, there's not a lot of people that speak English in Curitiba. There was a little bit more, especially in the circles that I moved in, because I was in Curitiba for the launch of the Innovate Curitiba book. So, you know, I was like, I mean, sure, it was amazing. I was treated like a king, to be quite honest. I arrived at the airport. There was a driver to pick me up, took me to the hotel. I was staying in that Hilton hotel. It was a beautiful hotel. I had people driving me around. The first day we actually went out and we met a couple of the CEOs of companies. That Arriquin, the stand that we walked past first, where I got taken on a tour of the company by the CEO. There's another company, the Smart Cities ICI or ICI, now I can't remember the name exactly, but it's the main organization that vets all of the technology for the city of Curitiba and for about 30 other cities globally in Latin America and all over the place. And I was taken around there for a show by the CEO. It's amazing. So I've got a couple of photos. I didn't take a lot of videos, but I'll just do a normal post about those. Oh, here's our book. So this is the book, Innovate Curitiba. That's what I was there to launch. Check, they even made this big book, and they had the stands with all of the with our books displayed. It was really cool. I mean, these guys went all out. In any case, yeah, so traveling around Curitiba was like really nice. I mean, Francisco and Sydney, they treated me like a king, and Rafael and everyone. I mean, we got taken, we had like cocktail parties and company visits, and here at the expo I was actually a speaker. I was on stage with the mayor to do the launch of the book. It was a really big thing. And I got to tell you, I mean, driving through Curitiba, I was pleasantly surprised. It's a nice looking city. Now, I'm pretty sure I didn't go through the slums part of the city, and I'm pretty sure there would be. Every city's got slums. But all over, I felt fairly safe walking around Curitiba. It was definitely a nice looking city. And it's actually a pity I didn't stay longer there, because honestly, it was so much nicer than Sao Paulo. Should have rather hung around in Curitiba than go to Sao Paulo. I might still have my freaking phone. Check out the size of this conference. It's huge. It was really a big thing, and some really interesting speakers. Actually, one of the guys that spoke, he was a consultant to Nelson Mandela, F.W. de Klerk, and I think even Thabo Mbeki, 3 of the presidents of South Africa during the transition period. He was a consultant to them to help them navigate without trying to do the transition in South Africa without violence and stuff. And I believe he still consults with them. I was actually invited to a private luncheon. I was one of 15 people invited to a private luncheon with the mayor of the city, together with this dude that's like so well known in the world, and a couple of ambassadors. I mean, it was amazing. It was really, really an interesting trip. Anyway, back to the city. Now, Curitiba is not a beach city, so there's no beaches to see, but I mean, we are talking about tropical rainforest. It is beautiful there around this place, and the place where we went for this lunch with the mayor. It's like there in the forest. I mean, it feels like you're miles away from everything, but it's not that far. It's just in a piece of rainforest. It was actually quite astonishing. I mean, it is beautiful. The parks out there. The city is pretty clean. I think they've got over 500 cameras throughout the city. It's a city of about 1.8 million people. They've got over 500 cameras through the city. They've got lots of security. The cops are very proactive. The place that we went to visit, that they took me on a tour through, that runs the technology for the city, they actually have a single helpline that you can call for literally anything: medical assistance, security help, if you want to talk about potholes, if you want to report something, if you want to complain about something. It's one line: medical assistance. So there's one number, you call that number in the city of Curitiba, and you get to a call center that will take care of no matter what your issue is. Just if you just want to report some stuff, if you want to whatever. I think they said they took 30 million calls last year in that one call center, and it's a 24/7 call center. So they're using technology quite extensively to try and serve the people in the city, you know, their citizens. Really, really cool city in that sense. And they've got mobility. I think in the main areas they've got buses that run every 1 minute. They've got these lifted bus stations, and I mean, the guys are really going out there. They always trying to stay on top of the latest trends and the latest technology to make things better in the city. So I was very impressed, actually. Liga, that's a local cell phone network or cell phone company. Anyway, so back to Curitiba. Curitiba is the capital of the state of Paraná in southern Brazil. It's the largest city in southern Brazil, and it's the 8th largest city or the 8th most populous city in the whole of Brazil. It is also one of the few Brazilian cities with a very high Human Development Index of 0.856. And in 2010, it was awarded the Global Sustainable City Award, given to cities and municipalities that excel in sustainable urban development. According to Reader's Digest, Curitiba is the best Brazilian big city in which to live. Curitiba's crime rate is considered low by Brazilian standards, and the city is considered one of the safest cities in Brazil for youth. It's also regarded as one of the best cities to invest in Brazil. Unfortunately, it was such a whirlwind visit that I didn't really have time to go and see any of the other sites. I mean, I was at this event, and I was basically driven around and visited a couple of companies, and then the day after this I flew back to Sao Paulo, which I still regret. But any which way. So check it this. This is Arriquin. This is one of the companies I went to visit, and what they do is they're a cloud computing company, and they've put together a system where you can rent a cloud computer from them as a normal person. So you can rent a high-end cloud computer, and you can access it with your crappy computer. Now, one of the things that often happens with us is that we use freelancers around the world, and they struggle to do the work because the computers that they have are not good enough. Now with this, check these guys. They're playing a very high-end game that takes an enormous amount of resources, but they're playing it on a really crappy computer. So what they're doing is they're connecting via the internet. As long as you have a decent internet connection, you can connect to your really top-end computer that sits online, and you can play these games, and you can do work that you can never do with your own computer. I think it's actually great. A great idea. But anyway, so this is Arriquin. Now let's talk about Curitiba again a little bit. Something I learned about the city is that there are actually large, I wouldn't call it expat communities, but large communities of foreigners There's a large Italian community, there's a large Ukrainian community, there's a large community from basically all over. Japanese, I think there are. And these groups have settled in Curitiba many, many years ago. So, I mean, they've always been there. Well, they've been there for 50, 60 plus years, but you still have these areas. So there's the Italian area. When you drive in there, there's actually a board, a sign across the road that says you're now going into the Italian area, and there's all the Italian restaurants. You've got the biggest Italian, well, I don't know if it's the biggest in the world, but it's a huge Italian restaurant there. The one restaurant, it's this old lady that runs it. It's the third generation in the family, but she's still there every day, even though her great grandkids are running it right now. That seats 4,600 people, 4,600 and something people in one sitting in a restaurant. Can you imagine that? That's enormous. But it works the typical Brazilian way. So you don't sit and order food. You sit down, you pay a flat fee, you get a bunch of salad and stuff on your table, and then you've got guys coming past with all kinds of stuff, big bowls of pasta and whatever, and you just go, yeah, I'll want some of that. And there's the whole time there's people coming past your table with food, and you just pick what you want and they dish up for you, and that's it. That's actually quite cool. It was a pity I didn't get to visit that one. Next time I go there, I'm definitely going to go and visit that restaurant because it sounds like fun. Anyway, yeah, so they've got all of these communities. There's some really old Ukrainian church there that was a reconstruction of a church in Ukraine, if I remember correctly. But I mean, these guys have all been there forever. They kind of speak Portuguese now. It's funny, they were actually saying that Japan, we all know that Japan has got a population decline crisis. I mean, there's not enough young people, there's not enough children, and Japan traditionally, I mean, like a lot of Western countries, but most other countries, what they do is when they have this population decline issue, they bring in immigrants, to fill up. But now Japan traditionally doesn't like to bring in immigrants. But the guys were telling me that they are actually actively sourcing from the Brazilian Japanese community, or from the Brazilians, because a lot of these Brazilians are descendants of the Japanese that settled there many years ago. So the Japan is a little bit more open to sourcing them. I don't know how the Portuguese goes in Japan, but still. So yeah, that is, I must unfortunately tell you, one of the crazy things. Check at this. This is actually a flying car model. So it's not an actual flying car, but what they do is you put on those goggles and then you look like you're flying around. These guys are building flying cars. They're going to actually do it within the next few years. It's going to start happening, and it'll probably start happening in Curitiba in Brazil as one of the first cities. I mean, they really are forward thinking. Anyway, back to what I was saying is one of the unfortunate things about Brazil and Curitiba, one of the only bad things I can say about Curitiba is the fact that not a lot of people speak English. It's really, really hard to get stuff done and to communicate. The people are super friendly and they want to help and everything, but Portuguese is not an easy language, let me tell you that. It's just not. When you go to Holland and use Afrikaans, you understand it. German, French, a lot of the languages have got a lot of similarities. So, it's understandable. Portuguese, to me, in any case, feels like one of the most difficult languages. It's just very, very hard to understand it all. I mean, I just do not understand a single word. So we oftentimes are tied down to sign language to try and understand, and it makes it hard. Even in Mexico, there's a lot more people that understand English. They're not great at English, but they understand English a bit more. Well, I suppose it's understandable since they're right next to the US and they have to deal with a lot more English speakers. That's Brito on the right of the screen there. That's our partner in Brazil. He's the guy, one of the guys that was driving me around and showing me around. And he went to the mayor's lunch with me. Anyway, thanks to these guys. Thanks, Brito. Thanks, Sydney. You guys were amazing. Anyway. All right, so yeah, what I was saying is the Portuguese is definitely a problem, and the fact that there's not that many English speakers is a problem. Although I think they are working and changing at it. Even in Curitiba now, they've got English programs for youngsters where they start teaching them English, because the reality is they also understand that in order to grow in the rest of the world, they need to be English capable. And look, there's a huge business of offshoring still. I know a lot of South Africans work for US companies and English speaking countries because the rates are cheaper, the people are, can do the work and they can speak English fluently. And I think Brazil and some cities in Brazil, especially places like Curitiba, where people are thinking forward and where they are trying to figure out how to make the place better and how to find jobs for the citizens, they actually understand that there's a huge market for offshoring and outsourcing services to the US. But you can't do it if you can't speak English. So they are teaching people more and more English in any case. Although I guess one of these days we're going to have an AI earbud in your ear that does real-time translation. I mean, the technology already exists. You can already, with YouTube and stuff, I could actually take this video, record it in English, upload it to a place and have it translated into like 30 or 40 languages, including Japanese and Portuguese. So, I mean, the technology is already there, I think. I'm just not that clued up, so I wasn't using my phone to do the Google Translate thing. I should have maybe tried that. I've never done that. But yeah, so I don't know how important it is to learn different languages. Soon we are all going to speak the same language. What's it? The Tower of Babel from the Bible, I guess. Anyway, so will I go back to Curitiba? Oh yeah, I will. I mean, I probably will have to, because we're probably going to do another Innovate Curitiba in a couple of years, and I would gladly go back and go and visit it again. It's a great place to be, and I had a lot of fun there. Is it a holiday city? Well, not much. I mean, unfortunately not. It's kind of in the middle. It's not near the ocean. It's got beautiful rainforests. It's subtropical, really. It's got beautiful forests around, and there's a couple of things that you can see, like a big opera house that's made out of pipes with a see-through roof, and they've got this big, beautiful gardens, and there's a couple of things to do, but I mean, it's not a typical vacation city, and it's not it's Portuguese. It's not a city where it's easy, even though it's easier there, but it's still not easy to get around and to communicate with the people. So, will I go back to Curitiba for the next Innovate Curitiba launch? Undoubtedly, but yeah, it's not necessarily a vacation city if you're an English speaker, unfortunately. There are some really cool vacation spots not too far away from there, because I mean, you've got the ocean there. There's some like amazing resorts. Now obviously at the resorts they are more international, but I mean, that's like half a day away, or I don't know, a couple of hours drive away from Curitiba. It's not in the city, so you can always fly into Curitiba, visit it a little bit, check out the sites, and then head on out to the ocean. You must check some of those places, some of those resorts. Oh man, it's like you're living in the forest and you've got these beautiful golden beaches in front of you. Really cool. Really secluded, and no guys on bicycles that can steal your phone while you're ordering Uber, because you won't have to be ordering an Uber for that matter. So yeah, if you want to go to Brazil, and that I think is a good plan, to go and visit some of those beach resorts, I would go back for that. Alright, so that's about it. That's about what I can say about Curitiba. I had fun. It was a good place. I really enjoyed it. it's just generally was a nice trip up to there. Then from there, obviously, for those of you that watched my other video, you know that in Sao Paulo things went a lot worse. And to be quite honest, I did not enjoy Sao Paulo much at all. I mean, it is a huge place. It is just over the top. Places like Curitiba, nice, beautiful, and surprisingly interesting. With lots of technology, lots of development for innovation. They got universities, they got startups, they got the government is funding innovation, funding startups. They really try their best to grow the city and to grow innovation and tech and everything out there. I mean, it's like very, very well supported by the local government of both Curitiba and Paraná, as far as I know. Check out, this is some of the awards that they won. Hang on a second. So, I mean, they've won quite a significant amount of awards, and these are global awards that Curitiba has won. I mean, the guys are doing really, really well. And it's also not something that's new. It's been going for like 30 years. They started a very long time ago. And no matter what government changes there are, the government still, you know, the new governments, they keep on with the technology and they keep on with the innovation and they keep on with the support, which is absolutely essential. You know, that's what you want your city to do that. So, yeah, that is Curitiba, folks. Oh, yes, one more shot of the outside. This is just outside the hall. Look at the town. Got this big, beautiful lake, and then you've got like the carnival over there. So, yeah. Very cool town.